Gargle some salt water. Okay. Hello and welcome back again, everybody. This is Don Horatio.
And this is Neil Bog.
And we're not letting our last cast get us down despite how terrible it was. We're back to bring you some more ASUS ROG action. And if you will introduce the players for us, we'll get started.
In the top right, on Team Mouse, we have Mana. And in the bottom right in the blue, we have on Team SK.MC, the boss toss.
Right on, and we have some PvP action for you. We've not done one of these yet, so I'm excited to see how this map turns out. Mana, the European beast, doing quite well so far to get to this round of 8 stage in this ASUS ROG tournament. And SK.MC, everybody knows what he's capable of. Multi-time GSL champion, won a bunch of foreign championships, and basically will not let himself fade off the map at all. And we're seeing both players go, neither of them going for any sort of proxy gates, and that's to be expected from two solid players such as these guys. The map is in Tomb Valley. It's an interesting PvP map. Blink Observer is good here. It's not as good as on some maps like Cloud Kingdom, where it's really easy to blink in the main. But you can use it to get from the third to the main a little bit, and also from the natural end. But much stronger plays here are robotics-based plays, or Stargate is also a possibility.
Right. Both players, standard openings, widely seen in mirror matches. We see Mana scouting to the top left first, making sure there's no proxy pylons or any silly proxy gate action happening.
Yeah, but both players are doing roughly the same thing right now, but just gas timing's a bit different, but that's really, frankly, it's not the biggest of deals right now, but we'll have to see. They probably had their build so well timed out that it really makes sense how they're doing it. And the probe continues to scout out, going in the wrong direction for now. That's not a huge deal. MC is not scouted at all quite yet, so that would lead us to believe that he thinks his build is quite safe against pretty much anything. He does not need to go out and look for to see what his opponent is doing, what he's doing with his gas. He thinks he's fine under any circumstances with this build.
We've come so far since the days of 4 gates all the time, always.
Yeah, that's a big difference now. This PvP has become a much more interesting matchup. It's still a lot of 1 base versus 1 base, but we see a lot more 2 base than we used to, and the builds have certainly gotten a bit more interesting with that little warp gate nerf back way long ago now. But both players taking their second gas. MC grabbed us a bit earlier than Mana. We'll have to see what he wants to do with that, and we'll see how these players' tech progresses. We won't know much more until we see some more buildings go down.
Mana running into MC's base, scouting around, sees the gases, sees the Cyber Core with the Chrono Boost on it. Zealot comes out to chase it away, but it's still going to be able to run around in the base for another few seconds until the Stalker finally comes out.
This is true, and MC finally getting his scout off, and will now see that no sort of crazy shenanigans going on for his opponent. And
same little merry-go-round going on.
Yep.
Zealot playing chase to the probe.
Slight deviation, Mana going for the Sentry before the Stalker, whereas SK.MC does get the Stalker first. That's going to depend a lot on basically how they want to use those units going forward, and whether you want that Sentry out to be really safe early on or not. Both players going robotics facility here, and we'll have to see what they want to do with that, whether it'll probably be a mortal play, and both players are playing very similar right now.
Yep, the only difference is that Stalker versus the Sentry. Mana will have 2 sentries to begin with to defend his ramp adequately.
Yep. And right now, if this game keeps going the way it is, and these builds stay as similar as they are, it will likely be a very micro-intensive game, and that does give a bit of an edge to MC, who's really known for his superior micro.
Yep, one of the best Protoss players in the world. He really made a name for himself with micro-intensive timing pushes back in the early days of last year.
Yeah, but he's not a one-trick pony by any means. He's obviously shown that he's capable of doing anything he needs to. He can play long macro games as well. And actually did see a slight deviation now. The first Immortal coming out for MC, by the way, but Observer first for Mana as opposed to the Immortal. And also Mana put down a second gate earlier than his opponent, but MC dropped 2 at a time, and now Mana's now placing his third. So they'll end up with the same building composition, but they took a slightly different path to get in there. And since there's no weird attacks in between in that period, it shouldn't make too much of a difference.
Yep, you can see the probe count is almost identical. They, in a few seconds, will have both one Immortal and one Observer. Similar amounts of units all around.
Yep, and the Observer is now making its way across for Mana, checking out that natural expansion where he can see nothing now, and moving in to see what his opponent is up to. And that Observer's going to pop out at a very good time for MC, actually, to potentially deal with that.
We see a Robotics Bay coming down for MC, going to transition into one base Colossi, while he has a Proxy Pylon in Mana's natural, which Mana might scout before trying to take it, or it might go undetected and MC will be able to put on a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and Mana's going to move out here. I'm not sure. He should know at this point he can't do a whole lot of damage with this, but this might just be to hold some map control while he can, or he still might have some attack in mind.
Mana is also getting a Warp Gate, will slide out with his units and be able to reinforce in the field and on the fly.
Yeah, that War Prison reinforcement is definitely a great thing to have in PvP, and both players in fact getting one, so they know the power of it in matchup. The Robotics Bay is actually for the War Prison speed before the Colossus, so we'll be seeing some sort of maybe a double Immortal in that War Prison play. Very strong, dropping that Mineral Lines, one-shotting probes with 2 Immortals. It's very strong.
The thing is, because MC is spending all his money on the Bay and the Warp Drive upgrade, he does not have quite the strongest army. Mana will be able to reinforce really well and might be able to have the edge in this engagement.
But MC knows this is coming. His Observer actually flew right over this, up the bulk of this army, so he knows what's up, and with sentries, he should be able to hold this all day. And here they do indeed come on the ramp, and there's that force field trapping 3 Zealots up and doing some good damage. The War Prison is getting vision for our Protoss player from Poland, which is doing a pretty good job, but the 2 Immortals are untouched for actually both players, and
reinforcements are going to make a key difference.
Yeah. But it looks like, I think Mana is using a little War Prison micro there to try and save that Immortal. But right now, the defender's advantage is definitely on MC side, and the Colossus is 3 more played on as soon as that pops the system. At least it's battle not.
Yep, force fields in this case seem to just hurt as much as help for both players. They drop force fields that are grid for 5 seconds and bad for another 5. One Colossi comes out, it's getting focused down by the Immortal, by all the units.
Had to buffer this, but with those probes, he should definitely be able to defend. But right now, the tech advantage is definitely in MC's world in Robotics Bay, and the Colossus stays alive even.
The Colossus stays alive, and MC cleans up the army. MC with a clear advantage. If we look at the income, Mana is harvesting more gas. It looks like probes got, the probes that were taken off of gas for a little bit hurt his production a little bit.
Yeah, he certainly lost some probes. With the tech advantage, he's definitely safe and able to get those probes back. And right now, the army of MC is just significantly stronger than Mana, and he's going to look to take advantage of that by pushing towards the middle of the map while also going out in that War Prison with, I believe, the Immortals. Can we take a look at the War Prison that MC is sending out? Yep, the 2 Immortals in there, so he'll look to do what he can. But Mana knows what's up with those.
Trying to snipe a couple sentries, gets one, picks them both up,
great
saves
little
it.
Play, loses nothing there. That's brilliant decision making by MC. We expect nothing less from the boss toss himself.
Now we see brilliant micro, just doing as much damage as he can with just a few units.
Here comes the rest of his army. The supply's pretty even, but I think the army supply should be in MC's favor since he's down in probes. The force field biffs the force field, but MC decides not to take too much advantage of that.
It creates enough of a choke point that even if it's not perfect, it's not like a bunch of Zerglings are out there waiting, so it would still give Mana the advantage.
Yeah, and right now, Mana still hasn't made any sort of advances in tech. The War Person's still out for him, and the Immortal's moving in for MC again, trying to do some damage.
Dropping Immortals in the woods.
Yeah, trying to hide them in the trees. Stealth Immortals, they do clunk very loudly, and it's very easy to hear them, so even with their sight blocked, it's not quite enough, and they are discovered.
Mana is sneaking a Warp Prism around to the back of MC's base, but he has Stalkers waiting, should be able to deny it.
Actually, okay, the Mana does notice in time, but that could have been very dangerous for that War Prism.
MC decides to play it safe and brings his army back. At this point in the game, Mana is behind in supply. If we look at the unit army composition, we can see Mana is also behind a little bit in probes, but because they're all on one base, the saturation is there for Mana, and so he's not behind economically.
Yeah, so that's not a huge difference right now, but neither player is looking to expand right now. MC has had that Robotics Bay for so much longer than his opponent, who is, I think, just now finishing it somewhat. But definitely way ahead. This Colossus will make a huge difference in this battle coming up. It's all about these Immortals for both players, actually, and the Colossus control. And here is the engagement on the ramp. Mana not really in as defensive a position as he could be, and the Colossus getting out some great shots, but the Immortals do focus fire the Colossus down.
There's flanking Immortals for MC on the right, a bunch of force fields zoning out the Zealots, damage everywhere. Hard to tell who's going to come ahead, but we can see Mana's supply is dropping down steadily.
Mana's pulling the probes. There's a Warper in the War Prison in the main with the Zealot reinforcements too. help those Immortals out. And one of the last 2 Immortals for Mana is going down to MC as a big supply advantage, and there's too much. I think there's just too much here to sell. It's a Stalker and Sentry Shoe. Pretty good job.
Yeah, it looks like MC was able to clear out the rest of Mana's army and take out a significant portion of his economy, and there is the GG.
With the last Immortal comes the GG, and once again, it's basically, like I said earlier in the game, the stellar unit control for MC came through for him here in this map. He was able to use that rally, that Colossus coming out to defend himself when Mana came in with the big attack, the relatively low-tech attack compared to MC, who had that robotics bay out. And MC held beautifully. Good force field usage. Not the biggest thing. The Colossus stayed alive, pulling the probes at the perfect time to keep them away from the Colossus. And MC just basically was able to... It was a very elongated counterattack, but he knew he had the advantage, waited patiently, and struck when he knew he could win. MC
showing his superiority in little tiny engagements, little micro moves, little split-second decisions. In PvP, that's all you need to pull out the win.
Especially when you both go with very similar builds, both War Prism, Gateway into Immortal, and then Colossus build, basically. So, very well played by MC, and that's about it. Thank you for watching, and we will watch more of our content later. Thank you.